Before we begin, if you've ever felt trapped by toxic family members who've destroyed your childhood and stolen your future, hit that like button. And if you believe that karma always finds its way, subscribe and ring the bell. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that escape is possible. Your engagement helps us reach more survivors of family abuse. Now, let's dive into one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll ever hear. My name is Volt, though that wasn't always what I called myself. That name came later, a symbol of the electric transformation that would shock everyone who thought they knew me. At 29, sitting in my corner office overlooking downtown Escondido, California, I can barely recognize the broken child I once was. But let me take you back to when it all began. I was 5 years old when my parents, Richard and Patricia Sterling, first showed me what my role in the family would be. My younger sister Emma had just been born, and suddenly, I wasn't their child anymore. I was their servant, their scapegoat, their emotional punching bag. Volt, why can't you do anything right? My mother would scream, her perfectly manicured nails digging into my shoulders as she shook me for spilling juice on Emma's high chair. You're worthless. Absolutely worthless. My father would watch from his recliner, never intervening, occasionally adding his own venom. You're lucky we keep you around. Any other family would have given you away by now. By age 7, I was doing all the household chores while Emma was treated like royalty. I woke up at 5 a.m. to prepare breakfast, pack lunches, and clean before school. After school, I'd rush home to do Emma's homework. She was too precious to stress about it, cook dinner, clean again, and only then, if I was lucky, get to do my own homework by flashlight in the garage where I slept most nights when they decided I didn't deserve my room. The neighbors in our upper-middle-class Escondido neighborhood saw the Sterling family as perfect. Richard was a successful real estate developer, Patricia was on every charity board in town, and Emma was the golden child, beautiful, talented, destined for greatness. And me? I was introduced as our little helper when I was introduced at all. What people didn't see were the bruises hidden under long sleeves in 90-degree weather. They didn't hear the words that cut deeper than any physical wound. You were a mistake. We never wanted you. You're the reason our lives are ruined. They didn't know that the family vacations they saw in the Christmas cards never included me. I was left with whatever neighbor would take me, told that someone needs to watch the house. The important roles that I played within the family, as caregiver and economic provider, were not met with a corresponding high status in the family. By age 10, I had a paper route, and every penny went to the family fund. By 12, I was working illegally at a local restaurant, washing dishes until midnight, telling them I was 16. The money? Straight to my parents' account. School was my only escape, but even that was tainted. My parents would show up to teacher conferences and spin elaborate lies about my behavioral problems at home, ensuring that even my teachers looked at me with suspicion rather than concern. When I won the state science fair at age 14, they didn't attend. When Emma came in third in a local spelling bee, they threw a party that cost more than I'd ever seen. Everything changed when I turned 16, though my parents never knew it. I had always been good with computers. It was my escape, the one thing I could do in the garage without making noise. One night, while researching colleges I knew my parents would never let me attend, I discovered something extraordinary: cryptocurrency. This was 2012, and Bitcoin was still relatively unknown. I started mining it on an old computer I'd salvaged from the school's recycling program, running it only when my parents were asleep. Within months, I had accumulated a modest amount. But then I discovered something even more powerful. I had a gift for predicting market patterns. Using the library's computers, my parents tracked everything I did on the family computer. I started trading. Small amounts at first, using gift cards I'd received from teachers who felt sorry for me, converting them to crypto through various channels. Every successful trade was reinvested. Every failure was a lesson learned. By my 18th birthday, unbeknownst to anyone, I had accumulated the equivalent of $50,000 in various cryptocurrencies. But I couldn't touch it. My parents monitored my bank account, the one they forced me to open so my work earnings could be direct deposited and immediately transferred to them. They would have taken everything. So I waited. And I documented everything. I had started keeping a journal at age 13, but by 16, it became more than emotional release, it became evidence. Photos of bruises, recordings of their tirades, thank you, smartphone, screenshots of bank transfers showing them taking my earnings, videos of them lavishing gifts on Emma while I watched from the garage window. The real breakthrough came during my senior year. A teacher, Mr. Chen, pulled me aside after class. He'd noticed my potential and wanted to recommend me for a full scholarship to UC San Diego. My parents refused to sign the paperwork. Volt doesn't need college, my father told Mr. Chen with his politician's smile. We have other plans for him in the family business. Those plans? To keep me as their perpetual servant while they groomed Emma for success. That's when I made my decision. I would endure 3 more years, until I turned 21. I would continue building my hidden fortune, and then I would destroy them. The moment that broke me, and ultimately freed me, came at Emma's college graduation party. I was 24 by then, still living in that garage, still working 3 jobs, still funneling money to my parents who had convinced everyone I was mentally slow and needed their guardianship. My cryptocurrency portfolio had exploded to over $2 million, hidden across multiple wallets, protected by passwords only I knew. I had also secretly earned my degree online, studying in the late hours, paying with crypto converted to gift cards. My parents had no idea. The party was at the Escondido Country Club, and everyone who was anyone in San Diego County was there. My parents had spent $30,000, I know because I saw the bills they expected me to help pay for, on this elaborate celebration for Emma's bachelor's degree in communications. I wasn't invited as a guest. I was there as the help. Volt, make sure everyone's drinks are filled, my mother hissed at me as guests arrived. And try not to embarrass us. We're the server's uniform we bought you. I watched as they gave toast after toast to Emma, their brilliant daughter, their greatest achievement. My father actually said, "We're so proud that our only child has accomplished so much." Only child. There were 149 people at that party. All of them heard him say it. Several looked uncomfortable, they knew I existed, even if I was invisible. But the worst was yet to come. Emma stood up for her own toast, champagne glass raised high, and said, "I want to thank my parents for everything they've given me. And I want to thank Volt, our family servant, for keeping the house clean all these years so I could focus on my studies." The room laughed. They actually laughed. My mother beamed with pride. My father clapped. That's when I knew, the time had come. I spent the next 6 months preparing meticulously. The beauty of my plan was that it would all be completely legal, I would simply tell the truth and let the consequences unfold. First, I consolidated my cryptocurrency holdings, which had now grown to $3.2 million thanks to the 2016 to 2017 boom. I converted some to cash, opening accounts at banks my parents didn't use, in nearby Los Angeles where I told them I was working extra shifts. Second, I hired a lawyer, Diane Martinez, a former prosecutor who specialized in family financial abuse cases. When I showed her my documentation spanning 13 years, she actually cried. "This is one of the most comprehensive abuse documentations I've ever seen," she said. "Your parents aren't just toxic, they're criminals." That's when I learned something shocking. My parents had been claiming me as a dependent on their taxes while simultaneously taking my income. They'd committed tax fraud. They'd also violated labor laws by forcing me to work underage and taking my earnings. And the guardianship they tricked me into signing at 18? Fraudulent, as they'd told me it was for health insurance purposes. Third, I reached out to an investigative journalist named Marcus Chen, Mr. Chen's son, as fate would have it, who worked for the San Diego Tribune. He was very interested in a story about prominent Escondido real estate developers who'd been hiding a dark secret. Finally, I scheduled everything to converge on one specific day, my parents' 30th wedding anniversary party, where my father planned to announce his run for state assembly. July 15, 2018. The grand ballroom at the Fairmont Grand Del March 500 guests, including the mayor, city council members, and every major business leader in North County San Diego. My parents had actually invited me to this one, they needed someone to coordinate with the vendors. I arrived early, setting up, making sure everything was perfect. My mother even complimented me, saying, "See, Volt? When you apply yourself, you can be useful." The program began at 7 p.m. My father gave his speech about family values, about raising children right, about the importance of hard work and honest living. The crowd ate it up. Then the screens around the room, the ones meant to show a slideshow of family photos, suddenly changed. The first video showed my mother screaming at 7-year-old me, calling me a worthless mistake while I sobbed in a corner. The audio was crystal clear. The second showed my father taking money from my piggy bank when I was 10, laughing as he said, "Stupid kid thinks he deserves to keep money." The third was a compilation, every beating, every verbal assault, every moment of torture I'd endured, edited professionally, thanks to a filmmaker friend I'd paid in crypto. The room erupted. People gasped, some covered their mouths in horror, others immediately took out their phones to record. My father lunged for the AV equipment, but it was too late. The presentation was being streamed live on the San Diego Tribune's website, where Marcus Chen's exposé had just gone live, The Sterling Family Secret, a decade of child abuse hidden in plain sight. But I wasn't done. Diane Martinez stood up from table 12, identified herself as my attorney, and announced, "The Sterling family is being sued for $3.2 million in stolen wages, fraudulent guardianship, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Additionally, the IRS has been notified of substantial tax fraud." The police walked in next, not to arrest anyone yet, but to serve papers. The investigation had been ongoing for months. My mother fainted. Actually fainted. My father tried to grab me, screaming, "You ungrateful little bastard. After everything we've done for you." "Everything you've done?" I said, my voice calm and clear, microphone in hand. "You mean stealing my childhood? Taking my wages? Convincing me I was worthless? Or do you mean the $500,000 you've stolen from me over the past 13 years, not counting interest?" Emma tried to intervene, mascara running down her face. "Volt, how could you do this to us? We're family." "No," I replied. "You had a servant. You never had a brother." The video went viral within hours. #Sterling Scandal was trending nationally within a day. The footage was viewed 59 million times across various platforms in the first week. My parents' lives imploded spectacularly. My father's real estate license was suspended pending investigation. Multiple clients pulled out of deals, costing him millions. My mother was removed from every charity board within 48 hours. The Escondido Women's League released a statement saying they cannot associate with someone who could perpetrate such heinous abuse. The IRS hit them with $400,000 in penalties and back taxes. They had to sell their house to pay legal fees. Emma lost her job at a PR firm. Turns out, being associated with viral child abusers isn't good for a communications career. The lawsuit was settled out of court for $2.8 million, nearly everything they had. They tried to declare bankruptcy, but student loans and fraud judgments can't be discharged. At Reddit.Relator23's TikTok about breaking toxic family traditions even featured our story, gaining another 10 million views with commentary about how this is why we need to believe abuse survivors. The best part? Other victims came forward. My father had been scamming clients for years, and my mother had been embezzling from the charities she worked with. The criminal charges piled up. Today, I run a successful blockchain consulting firm in downtown San Diego. My office has floor-to-ceiling windows that overlook the bay, a far cry from that garage in Escondido. My company, Voltage Dynamics, yes, I kept the name, helps abuse survivors hide assets from their abusers and achieve financial independence. I've also established the Sterling Survivors Fund, ironically named after my parents, which has helped 47 young adults escape abusive family situations. We provide emergency housing, legal assistance, and job training. Mr. Chen serves on our board of directors. My parents? They live in a one-bedroom apartment in El Cajon, working minimum-wage jobs. They're banned from contacting me, restraining order, but I know from others that they still blame me for destroying the family. Emma reached out once, 6 months after everything happened. She wanted to apologize, she said. She had been in therapy and realized how complicit she'd been in my abuse. I heard her out, then told her simply, "Your apology is noted. Now please never contact me again." She's working as a barista now, last I heard. Still living with our parents at age 26, all 3 of them sharing that tiny apartment. The viral video of the anniversary party still circulates. It's been featured in 3 documentaries about family abuse and toxic parenting. Susan Forward even referenced it in an updated edition of her book, calling it one of the most spectacular examples of an abuse survivor reclaiming their power. But the sweetest revenge? I'm happy. Genuinely, truly happy. I have friends who love me for who I am. I have a therapist who's helped me process the trauma. I have a life that 5-year-old me could never have imagined. My parents thought they were stealing my life, but they were actually forging the steel that would become my spine. Every insult, every beating, every stolen dollar, it all became fuel for my transformation. The name Volt? I chose it because voltage is potential energy. For 24 years, they tried to ground me, to dissipate my energy into nothing. But potential energy, when finally released, can power cities, or destroy those who tried to contain it. Last week, I received an email from a 16-year-old in Florida who saw my story online. They're trapped in a similar situation, documenting everything, planning their escape. I've connected them with resources, lawyers, and most importantly, hope. Because that's what this story is really about. Not revenge, though that was satisfying. Not money, though financial independence is crucial. It's about the message that no one, not even your parents, has the right to destroy you. It's about the truth that even the deepest wounds can heal, and the darkest garages can't contain a spirit determined to be free. To anyone reading this who's trapped in their own toxic family situation, document everything. Build your escape plan. And know that your day of freedom will come. As family therapy experts note, sometimes setting boundaries is the ultimate act of love as a parent, or in this case, loving yourself enough to escape those who should have been parents but never were. They stole 13 years of my life. But I own the rest of it, and it's going to be magnificent.